This next news item contains a description of a death row inmate's execution by nitrogen gas and may be disturbing for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. The U.S. has put to death its fifth inmate in the span of a week. Alan Eugene Miller was executed in Alabama on Thursday. The state used nitrogen gas for the second time, which drew criticism from human rights groups. Andrew Donaldson from OrdinaryTimes.com joined us to further unpack the concern of using nitrogen gas.
So Alan Eugene Miller's execution has been a little different than some of the other ones in the news. There was no doubt about guilt here or the process. He murdered three people in premeditated cold blood. The issue here was the method of execution. Now, the reason they were switching to this gas was because they had actually previously tried to execute him by lethal injection, and because of his obesity and other issues, they couldn't get an IV line into his arm. So that was one part of this. The other part of this is the background of the debate over lethal injection altogether. There's methods of trying to prevent the drugs from being used. There's been all sorts of lawsuits. And then there's the humane debate over whether lethal injection is humane or not. So the state has switched to this method. Now, here's the problem underneath all of this. In the quest for a humane execution, in a lot of ways, they're almost making the problem worse because at the end of the day, if you're going to take somebody's life judicially, you still have to kill them. You have to stop their heart. You have to stop their breathing. And conscious or unconscious, the body is always going to fight against that. So you're going to see things like you see in these news reports. You're going to see struggle. You're going to see gasping. No matter what you do, at the end of the day, you are taking a human life. And that gets to the heart of this debate of if the state can't figure out a way to do it humanely, and there may not be a way, should they be doing it at all? And round we're going to continue to go with this no matter how heinous the deed is. It's only been used twice because, again, lethal injection was kind of the method that was preferred for a long time, and it's gotten tied up in a whole lot of lawsuits. Also, it's something to go with this particular issue with Alan Eugene Miller. This was actually litigated. He had a lawsuit against the state to use this method. They settled it. There was a lot of things about whether or not he would get a sedative and that sort of thing. So the inmate and the lawsuits had a lot to do with this method as well. Is it going to be continued to use? I don't know. I doubt it, especially if there continues to be bad press about this and more litigations. But there are states like Alabama that want to continue with the death penalty. They're going to keep trying to find ways to do it, and you're going to have to get that litigated in court. And again, the average for an execution is now well over 20 years. This is going to just keep prolonging these sentences. We're always going to have a debate over the death penalty because, again, you're taking a human life, and the idea that you're going to humanely do that has some real hard limits to it. You still have to kill a person. So when you put in the debates over the judicial process, like we've seen in other executions in the news, and then you see with the actual procedure of doing it, like we see in this case, I don't think the debate will ever go away. I think in the social media age, it'll only get worse. And I don't know that the states have a whole lot of good answers about how they clean up the processes to make it acceptable to the public.